So this time we're going to be talking about color ups. When we're talking about a color up, essentially we're going to have it where when a player wants to leave the table, they will probably have a bunch of reds and greens and whatever other colors that they have, and we don't want them to stuff their pockets full with those and then leave the table, leaving us with less in our rack that we have to work with. So when they decide to leave the table, we want to exchange their lower checks for higher denomination checks. That way they just have to carry a few and we get to stay stocked in our rack. Whenever a color up happens, someone's going to say that they want to color up or they would like to leave or whatever the case may be. We have to make sure that we get approval before we touch the money to begin with. And in order for that to happen, we're going to say color coming in. That's going to be the call that we must receive approval from floor regardless of what the amount is. Now, when we do a color up, sometimes players have too many checks and they only want to color up part of their money as they want to continue playing with the rest. This, for the most part, is not allowed. This is what we refer to as a partial color up. Color ups are all or nothing, and then we'll get into the weeds on why at another time, but all we need to know for now is that when they color up, they're supposed to color up everything, not just a little bit of what they have. Sometimes they can get away with coloring up small portions. However, that's going to be approval from floor, at least it's supposed to be. Now I'm going to be showing you one version of how to handle a color up. However, I'm also going to have Erika come back and she's going to show you guys how to do a couple of different versions herself, and then I'll come back and show you mine.
All right, everyone. So I'm about to show you my version of color ups. So I have two examples here. First, I'm going to show you a simple one when you have a bunch of one color, meaning you have a player who basically they built up a bunch of red and they're ready to leave the table. I want to show you how to do a color up for that and a multi-color bet. Player wants to push in the bet. Do not reach for the bet until you say color coming in, and then you wait for floor approval. As soon as the floor says bring it in, then you can reach for it and bring it in. So I always start with the highest denomination first. You're always going to have it closest to the rack. I create a stack of 20 first, and then I'm going to size in to the other color. So I got my red all set up, and I'm going to break this one down, and then I have my white. So these two stacks are going to leave next to each other, and then you're going to break down one stack to prove this first stack. Then with this one right here, if you look, you have enough that this is $5. You can take this one down and have it fit right here to complete a $25 or green check. Hand this one back to the player. Then you're going to pull out your color. So we have one stack of 100, another stack of 100. That's going to be 2 black, 1 green, and then 2 green. So you're going to say, coloring up, 250, 2 black going out. Then they'll say, send it. If it's 100 and up, wait for floor approval, but this might change based on your casino. And when I send it, I will send it with the lowest denomination on top and highest at the bottom for blackjack. Then when I stack everything up, I'm going to start with the highest denomination first when putting it back into the rack. All right, so we're going to get ready for the next one. Color coming in. Bring it in. Highest denomination first. This is how I do it. I get everything cut out first. So from here, the way that I do this is I just start peeling this way. So this right here, I cannot color up. I set it off to the side. Then these ones are already 5s. So I'm making 5s, then I'm making 25s. So right here, I'm coloring these up, creating a 25, setting this aside. This, I'm going to create 100, setting this aside as change, and these are all complete hundreds. So if I can make this make sense for you guys. Because for me, it's a little bit more of a visual thing, like putting together a puzzle piece. So we have 100 up here and 300 there. Coloring up 400, 4 black going out. and then send it. Stack and send to the player.
All right, I'm back. So we're going to be talking about my version of a color up, or at least what I like to do personally. So let's say that we have a player that they said that they want to color up, so they decide to push their checks into the table. And then in order for me to grab it, I need to get approval from floor first. So I'm going to say color coming in, and then floor will usually say bring it in. Once they say bring it in, now I can touch the money. However, just make sure, clear your hands before you touch the money, and any money that's coming into the casino must be on the left side of the rack. Any money that's going out to the players should be on the right side of the rack. Always remember that. We have cash, we have checks. If it's coming in, it's always on the left, and anything that we send out to the players will always be going out on the right. So what I like to do with my version is I like to start with the lower denominations first and work my way up. However, there's other versions, like Erika probably already showed you, where she likes to start with the higher denomination. Either one is fine. It's whatever makes sense to you, as long as the cleanup is, or the color up is clean and makes sense, all right? So, clear my hand. First thing I like to do here, in my rack, I have purple as my maximum color. Because I can't color up purple with more purple, I'm gonna give this purple back. Then I'm going to start with the lowest denomination, in this case it's white, and I'm going to cut this out into, the technical term is color uppable increments. It's not a real technical term, but it works. So I can color up these 5 white into a red. However, this remaining white that I have, I cannot color up. So because of that, it's going to get returned to the player. I'm going to then build off of what I already have by going to the next color, in this case it's red, and I'm going to build off of what I already have there, and I'm trying to get to $25. So I have $5 in white already there, so that means I'm going to need 4 red to complete a $25 increment. So now here I have $25, and now I'm going to continue to build off of that. So I'm going to do 5 red, that's going to make it $50. $75. I can't color up the remaining 4 red, so that's going to go back to the player. I'm going to go to the next increment, or the next step up in color. In this case, it's going to be green. So I have $75 currently here, trying to get to 100, and that's it. So now I have 100. I'm going to cut this one out. Now I have 200. The remaining 2 green, I can't color it up, so it's going to get returned to the player. So now let's double check what we have. We have 100 and we have 200. I'm going to grab the black. Now I have 300, 400, 500. I'm going to arrange it so I have a higher denomination closer to me, and I'm going to bring out 1 purple. And then I'm going to make my approval call. Color up 500, 1 purple going out. And then floor is going to say, go ahead. And when I deliver this to the player, always have some kind of salutation like, have a good night, pleasure to meet you, happy birthday, happy anniversary, something to like let them know that they had you had a good time with them being at your table. That helps with player retention, and hopefully they'll leave the table feeling in a better mood and could translate to more tips. Thank you, pleasure to meet you. And now when I put this away, I'm going to grab the highest denomination first and start putting that away in my rack. And that's it. That's how we do color up. Now, any variation of these color ups usually is fine regardless of the casino that you work at. However, some house rules dictate that they prefer one version over the other. For instance, some casinos don't want you handing anything back to the player that you can't color up, and instead they want you to accept everything that you receive and then bring out anything on the right side, even if they have matching colors on both in and outgoing sides. Just depends on where you go, but as long as you do one of these versions, most casinos aren't really going to care. So for an audition, either one's fine.